From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. I'm going to post this just a little bit early this week. I usually schedule it to post on midnight, Wednesday night, going into Thursday morning. I think I'll post this right after I record it. It's currently Wednesday afternoon. Things are a little bit up in the air now because of breaking news and the election, of course. I think Sunday maybe we'll hand Charles Purcell Presents over to The Log. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe do one or two bonus episodes if needed. I don't know if they're going to be needed. We'll see. So keep things open. Just check your feed. See what comes up. I saw a post recently. I don't know what triggered this, but it prompted me to look up these figures again. And depending on where you look, these numbers might be a little bit off, but they're so extreme that a little bit off isn't going to make any difference. And I'm talking about people who are experiencing homelessness and the number of vacant homes in the United States. I guess it probably came up because it was a problem with affordability in housing and wanting to build 300 million. No, 3 million, 300 million. How many did you say? 3 million new housing units? It wasn't, no, no, it wasn't 300 million. Man, you get into these big numbers and it's all goofy. Okay, so anyway, these are the numbers. Approximately 15 million vacant homes currently in the United States. It's over 10% of the country's total housing inventory. Over 15 million vacant homes in the United States. That's over 10% of the country's total housing inventory. Okay, why is that number important? Well, that's a lot of damn housing. I don't know why you have to have special presidential election promises to build more housing when we have 15 million vacant homes in the U.S. Okay, compare that to the people who need homes. People currently experiencing homelessness. This number I'm getting is from 2023 Annual Homelessness Assessment Report to Congress. 653,000. The number of people experiencing homelessness, 653,000. All right, so round figures again, we don't know what they are. That was a year or two ago. So 650K versus 15 mil. And even if these numbers are off by like 100%, maybe it's twice as many. Maybe it's 1 million people who are unhoused. Maybe the housing number, the vacant homes number is wrong. Maybe it's only half that. Even if you assume the very worst about these numbers, okay, say they're wrong by half, then it's 7 million, 7.5 million vacant homes, and 1 million people experiencing homelessness. My point is obvious. It's the system. It's a bad system. I'm sorry you can't bring yourself to admit this, and you're going to accuse me of being naive. Oh, you sound like a college freshman. No, I was a college freshman a long time ago. No, the fact that there are 15 million vacant homes and 650,000, it's just wrong. The system is just wrong. That puts all of this housing stock into the hands of private owners, into the hands of hedge funds, into the hands of major corporations, into the hands of rich folks who have 2 and 3 and 4 and 10 houses around the country. Some, they just leave them vacant for tax purposes. I don't know what's going on. But you could give every single person their own damn house, and you'd still have 14.5 million vacant homes in the United States. It's the system. It's capital C capitalism. Oh my God. We got to get past this crap. And here's Kamala Harris out there with her wonderful plan about giving people a tax break so they can afford $25,000 down payment and build 3 million units. Oh my God, it's all so ridiculous. It's all lipstick on a pig. It's all giving Frankenstein's monster a nice haircut and a new blazer. No, it's got to go. The system has to go. Lord Jesus, 15 million vacant homes and 650,000 homeless people. It's insane. Oh, well, what else would you do? We have the best system. No, we don't have the best system. Well, what would you do then? Anything but this. You know what I would do. And that brings me to something else I want to share with you. And then we'll get into more up-to-the-minute news here. This is just something I came across in my social media. I thought it was succinct and well-written, and I think you can understand it. Posted by somebody called Devin Price, who I have no idea who this person is. I can't vouch for them. I don't know if they wrote it or stole it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. The thought itself is good, and it's this, quote, "Anytime you critique an oppressive system, people come to you demanding a perfectly articulated step-by-step plan for creating a flawless alternative system today. As if the system we are currently locked inside of were meticulously designed from the top down. It wasn't. The systems we occupy were shaped slowly over the course of centuries by a variety of incentive structures, ideologies, social forces, prejudices, and global political developments. If you think we need a flawless roadmap for change to happen, you don't understand history." Now, this is so important. This is what I've been saying for a long, long time. Again, it is a nice little pithy, succinct social post says it. It took us a long time to get where we are. Nobody sat down and just mapped out exactly our system. It evolved over time, based on some very bad ideas, based on some very bad ideologies, bad incentives. And so, no, I don't have a flawless system. I don't have a blueprint. I've never claimed that I have. I've got some basic ideas that we have to start with. We got to do some deconstruction and dismantle the worst parts of the old system, which are just right in front of our eyes. We see them. 15 million vacant homes and 650K people who need homes. If you have eyes and ears, you know that's crazy. Oh, but how do we fix it? Give me the blueprint. Give me the plan. I don't have a plan. But I know that profit has to go. I know that money has to be decentralized. It has to be taken out of the center of every decision we make, if not abolished altogether. That's my dream. That's my utopia. But I know at the very least money has to be de-weaponized. It can't be the thing that rules everything else. The systems we occupy today were shaped slowly over the course of centuries by a variety of incentive structures, ideologies, social forces, prejudices, and global political developments. And that's what we talk about. That's what we talk about on the show. We talk about incentive structures. Right now, money and profit is the only incentive structure. Sure, you want to be good to people. You want to be nice. You want to be kind. You get all these, but that's nowhere in the system. There are no rewards for being a nice guy. There are no rewards in the structure, in the system, for being a good person. The only incentive is to make money. Now, if you can make money by being a nice person, great, wonderful. Then you made it work. Good for you. But that wasn't the incentive in the system, in the structure. Ideologies, we talk about ideologies, social forces, global political developments. Of course, right now we're in the throes of populism that's turning into fascism because the left has been so castrated that it can't present a decent socialist, populist movement. Our only populist movement, the only ones that are taking hold, are right-wing fascist movements. You can be a fascist populist. You can be a socialist populist. You can be a small d Democrat populist, or you can be an authoritarian populist. So, with populism on the rise and people afraid for their well-being, of course they're going to turn to the right-wing fascists because they have no option. They have no other option. They don't know where to turn. Because the so-called left, which is not a left, both in the U.S. and in Europe, more so in the U.S., the Democrats, the Labor Party, they're centrists. Again, much more so in the U.S., the Democratic Party, the capital D, is a terrible problem, and we talk about this all the time. They keep compromising with the right. The Overton window moves to the right. We don't have a left. Problem keeps moving, and we wind up with fascists. Well, of course, the people who understand their own problems in their own personal lives and they're looking for solutions aren't given options. They're only given the status quo, which they know doesn't work, and they're given authoritarian fascists. It's the old drowning person reaching for the edge of a sword. Yeah, don't ask me for a perfect system. Don't ask anybody who complains about the status quo. Well, what's your solution? That's not how it works. No, that's not how it works. You jettison things you know aren't working. You got to throw some spaghetti against the wall. You got to do some real serious thinking about ideologies and structures and social forces and prejudices and global, national, and local politics. You got to do some serious talk, serious thinking, and then you got to be open and ready to make some changes. And of course, the perfect sort of case study, we could find 100 other examples. But yeah, the housing in the United States, 15 million vacant homes and 650,000 people who need homes. But because of the system we live in, we can't do a little match here. We can't just do a slide right. Wouldn't it be nice to have an app? All the vacant homes, people who need a home, just swipe. Oh, there's one. I'll take it. No, you have to make enough money. You're going to have a down payment. You have to work within the system, again, which evolved over thousands of years with a lot of bad ideas. I'm just so done. I'm so tired of it. All right, let's talk about some recent news. And like I said, whatever we don't get to today, we'll pick up on the Sunday podcast, and we'll see where we go from there. There were about 75,000 people at Harris's ellipse speech versus 53,000 for the Orange Menace January 6th insurrection speech, would have happened in the exact same spot. And I just, thought I'd mention that just because it makes me smile a little bit. 75 versus 53. We win. It was a good speech. I actually looked up. I found a couple different names of Kamala Harris's speechwriters because I wanted to give them credit, but I couldn't find who wrote this one. Obviously, there's a team, but there's usually one person who really takes the lead. So anyway, I bring that up only to say she's got some good speechwriters. It was good. The joy and optimism thing, unity, country over party and over self. It was good. She opened with the criticism of the Orange Menace, and it was harsh. She made a point to not criticize his voters and supporters. It was all about him. And she opened with it. She didn't wait around. She opened with it. And it was good. And like I said, it was harsh. It was there were deep cuts. She promised to be everybody's president, promised to give everybody a seat at the table. All good, all fine, all wonderful. And she didn't spend a lot of time on policy initiatives, but enough to give us a pretty good idea what she's about. Some was biography, because it's weird to say a week out from the election. You still need to do that, but she was so late into the game that she still had to do that. Her domestic policies, they're well-meaning. I've told you before, a lot of them, some of them are just gimmicks that couldn't get passed through Congress, or even if they did, they wouldn't work. But, some are good. The child tax credit, that's just a basic Give people $6,000. Give parents $6,000. It just makes sense. If you like the system we have, the one I want to jettison, if you like the system we have, if you like capitalism, if you think that the system doesn't need to be drastically revolutionized away, if you're okay with the system we have, then you have to be okay with giving people money. Because really, it's kind of the only thing that works. You give parents $6,000, they're not going to just sock it away in some investment. They're going to spend it because they have to spend it. And again, in the system that you like, in the system that you defend, if you're one of these people, consumers spending money is a good thing, right? So you just give money to the people who will spend it, and it'll come back 2- and 3-fold. That's basic economics. That's economics 101. It works. Now, in the long run, every dollar spent, a few cents trickle or more trickle up to the top 1%. So in the long run, it's horrible. But in the short run, if you just want to keep this economy humming along, and if you want the GDP to keep growing, which again, in the long run is a horrible thing because it'll destroy the planet, but you like this system. So if you like this system and defend this system, that's what you want to do. So she has some good things. The child tax credit is one of them, probably the best one. The rest, again, tax gimmicks and small businesses and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We have more in common than separates us. I mean, that's political cliche, but it's true, and we need to be reminded once in a while. I often point to the polling where Americans agree in the 50, 60, 70, 80, sometimes 90%. They agree on issues like the health care and gun safety and abortion and all the big hot button issues. Americans agree by great majorities, sometimes super majorities. It's only when you put on the red and blue caps that people go crazy. So yeah, it was a good speech, and again, she hit him really hard, called him a petty tyrant. First, she referred to King George and our history as the petty tyrant, and then I could see it coming right down Main Street that she was going to loop that back around, and she did, because she ended by saying another petty tyrant and a wannabe dictator wants your vote. Okay, so I knew where she was going with that. It was good. She also said America is a great idea. Remember when J.D. Vance at the RNC made a big point of saying America is not an idea. America is a piece of land, and our blood is in this land. He went full blood and soil Nazi. Remember we talked about that? He hates it when people call America an idea. No, it's land, and we, white Europeans, shed our blood, so it's ours. It's just really gross Nazi crap. So, yeah, I mean, I've always said that. In fact, I did a one-man show a few years ago about this very thing. America is an idea, and as an idea, it's not bad. If I could go back and change history, the tribes who were here in 1492 would still be running things their own way. So no, I'm not saying it was a good idea to invade North America and commit genocide against its native peoples. No, I'm just being very esoteric here. The idea itself, the idea that people can be self-governed and that there's a check and balance and all the things, well, many of the things, most of the things were borrowed from the Iroquois Confederacy. Yeah, the Confederacy of tribes, the 6 major tribes had this big confederacy, and they had it all written down in black and white, and the American founders borrowed heavily from it for the Constitution. You know this story. If you don't, look it up. So that's what I mean when I say America is a good idea. It's, generally speaking, those are great ideas. Separation of powers. Government of, by, and for the people. Yeah, great idea. So it was a very good speech. And then she ended with some very nice rhetoric. Again, hats off to the speechwriters. Asked the voters to help write the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. Yeah, God, okay. But you know what? Fine, that's what speechwriters do. And I got to give her some credit, too. She pulled it off. I've been very critical, and I will remain critical of Kamala Harris for a lot of reasons. And one of them was that I just didn't think she was all that great at this. And she kind of picked up her game here in the last few days, and she gave a damn good speech. As opposed to the Madison Square Garden rally, which you've heard plenty about. But, this is a pretty important contrast here. It's a good side-by-side. If these are their closing arguments, I don't know how you compare the Madison Square Garden rally, which I watched, by the way. Yes, I did. I'll confess I fast-forwarded a couple times, but yeah, you know what? I watched the whole damn thing. And it really was as bad as the headlines say. It was just filled with hate. It was filled with name-calling. It was filled with lies. Very little to no policy at all. Just all the regular lies and the hate and the misogyny and the racism. It was all there. I have to say this because it's a pet subject of mine, which is comedy. This Hinchberg or whatever his name is, I don't know his name. The guy who did the alleged joke about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage. Okay. Jon Stewart. I gotta talk about Jon Stewart because this comedian is just a low-life piece of garbage himself, so I don't need to criticize him. Jon Stewart's commentary on the Daily Show this Monday night after the Sunday night rally, he pretty much defended the comic, saying, well, he's a guy who does roasts. This is his style. This is his format. This is his milieu. And he actually showed an extended clip of this henchman guy. I'm intentionally not looking up his name because I don't want to. I don't care to. I'm going to show disrespect by misnaming him intentionally. The way people misname Kamala Harris. So Jon Stewart actually kind of defends the guy. Say, well, why would you hire him to do it? This is what he does. He roasts. And he showed an extended clip of this guy at a roast saying the most vile, horrible, racist things. But in the context of the roast, with the subject of the insult right there in front of him, right? So, insulting other comics, insulting people in the room, right? That's what you do. You can get away with the most offensive, vile, horrible, sexist, misogynist, racist jokes. And it's funny because everybody in the room understands the irony. If you make a slave joke to a black comic, everybody go, ooh, ah, and they laugh. Everybody knows that is just heaped in irony. It's funny because the comic and the subject of the joke and the audience are all on the same page. They're all in the game. They all know exactly what's happening, and that's why it's funny. So Jon Stewart is a professional comedian, has been for decades. He shows this clip, this guy telling the most racist, horrible jokes, and in the context of the roast, they are funny. I thought they were funny. I was in on the joke. I was part of this. I got it. Now, here's my problem with Jon Stewart. How does he not understand that you can't take the same kind of joke, change the context, change the crowd, and now it's no longer funny, Jon? How do you not get that, professional comedian Jon Stewart? What is wrong with you? Part of your brain is broken. I don't understand how you're missing this. For hench person, guy, I can't remember his name, if he were to say, in the context of a roast, where maybe several of the guests are Puerto Rican, and he looked right at them and said the exact same joke, floating island of garbage, it would have been an insult. Everyone would have understood that it was irony. They would have gotten the joke, and it would have indeed have been funny. The exact same joke with a different audience, a different target, right there in the room, a specific person who's Puerto Rican, or that's what you do. That's what a roast is. If anybody's ever seen a roast, the exact same joke would have been fine. But you can't take that joke into a room of white supremacists. You can't take that joke into a room where they are hero worshiping a white supremacist, a bigot, who's already said horrible things about Puerto Rico and meant them, who stood there and threw paper towels at them. You can't take that joke into that setting and be stupid enough to think that it's going to work, that people are going to get it. Of course they got it. He knew what he was doing, but it becomes a completely different joke. Now, I don't mean to just go on and on about this. I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but my God, comedians, Jon Stewart, be better. You're going to defend this guy? You don't understand the basic fundamental difference here? Wow. Just, John, come on. All right, I went way too long on that, but it's a pet subject of mine and a pet peeve, that why some professional comedians just have a blind spot and they just want to cry wokeism or whatever. Come on. You know better. You're a smart person, aren't you? I thought you were. Oh, again, I'm sorry. It went on too long. It just gets me. Rudy Giuliani appeared at the Sunday Hate Fest, and it just made me smile because, of course, maybe you didn't know, maybe you didn't hear, he was ordered by a judge to hand over the keys to his apartment to Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, the Georgia election workers who won the defamation suit against Rudy Giuliani. And he claimed to be broke and he can't afford to pay the millions of dollars the judge decided should go to the plaintiffs. And so this week the judge ordered that Rudy Giuliani literally hand the keys to his New York apartment, his couple of expensive cars, just hand them over to the plaintiffs, and anything else of value he has. He's ordered Giuliani just to sell his valuables, which is what we said way back when the verdict first came down. It's like, don't let this guy off the hook. He's claiming to be broke, but he's driving around in a nice car and he's living in a nice apartment. We said this very thing months ago when the verdict came down. No, make him just give it up. Shay and Ruby just move into the apartment and make Rudy pay the rent. So that's fantastic. I love the story. I love that little nugget of news that came out. Well, I got a lot to talk about. We're definitely gonna pick this up here. Again, I'm gonna take the Sunday slot, usually assigned to Charles Purcell Presents. We'll pick it up in the usual Sunday slot with a bonus episode of The Log. Subscribe and it'll show up on your favorite podcast platform. Or you can always go to the website, charlespurcell.com. All the episodes are always there. Thanks to River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. They're our flagship terrestrial station. Contact me, Charles Purcell at Gmail. Follow on Facebook. And thanks to Peter Donalds, who wrote and performed the theme song. All right, there it is. Love you. See ya.